Bevor es mit der Folge losgeht, habe ich eine ziemlich coole Neuigkeit für euch. Wir haben einen neuen Podcast-Kooperationspartner, nämlich HWPO. Kurze Backstory, wir waren Ende letzten Jahres auf der Suche nach einem neuen Programming und da bin ich über Michele Letendre auf das Thema HWPO Affiliate Programming gestolpert, denn ich hatte mit ihr letztes Jahr schon eine Podcast-Folge aufgenommen in Stockholm und damals hatte sie noch ihre eigene Programming-Firma und letztes Jahr ist sie zu HWPO gewechselt und ist dort jetzt verantwortlich für das Thema Affiliate Programming und dann haben wir uns Ende letzten Jahres dazu entschieden, zu HWPO zu wechseln. Denn beim Thema Programming, das ist immer total schwierig. Man muss es den Mitgliedern recht machen, man muss es den Trainern recht machen, man muss es sich selbst recht machen und jeder, der schon mal in dem Prozess war, wo man ein Training umgestellt hat, der weiß, wie painful das sein kann. Und ich muss sagen, wir haben es geschafft, mit diesem Programm alle glücklich zu machen. Die Mitglieder werden abgeholt, die werden gefordert, die werden gefördert, die haben Erfolge, die kommen regelmäßiger zum Training. Die Trainer werden abgeholt, denn wir haben mega geile und ausführliche Coaches-Notes mit Videobeschreibung, mit Skalierungsoptionen. Also all das, was man braucht, um am Ende auch ein gutes Programming zu delivern. Und ja, ich als Box-Owner und in Anführungszeichen Head-Coach bin auch happy, weil ich mir sehr, sehr viel Zeit spare, die Programme zu schreiben. Ich muss die einfach nur in meine Workout-Tracking-Plattform Sugarwort reinladen und los geht's. Und damit ihr auch davon profitiert, dass wir jetzt eine Partnerschaft haben, haben wir uns was ganz Spezielles überlegt. Das heißt, wenn ihr Lust drauf habt, das Ganze mal auszuprobieren oder sowieso mit dem Gedanken spielt, euer Programming zeitnah umzustellen, dann habt ihr jetzt die Möglichkeit, HWPO Affiliate Programming 4 Wochen lang kostenfrei zu testen. Alles, was ihr dafür tun müsst, ihr geht in den Programming-Tracking-Anbieter eures Vertrauens. Also wie gesagt, wir nutzen Sugarwort, wählt HWPO Affiliate Programming aus und im Checkout gebt ihr den Code ein, den ich euch jetzt hier in die Shownotes gepackt habe. In den Shownotes steht der Code für Sugarwort. Wenn ihr nicht Sugarwort nutzt, sondern eine andere Plattform, schreibt mir gerne. Ich habe für andere Plattformen auch Codes parat. Und wie gesagt, dann könnt ihr euch das Ganze mal 4 Wochen lang anschauen. Absolute Herzensempfehlung. Wie gesagt, bei uns läuft das echt super, super, super geil und ich bin mega happy. Und ich glaube, dass beim Thema Programming, da sollte man nichts dem Zufall überlassen. Ja, also von daher absolute Herzensempfehlung. Falls ihr so ein bisschen mehr Input braucht und wissen wollt, wie Michele das Ganze angeht, dann habt ihr Glück, denn in dieser Podcast-Folge spreche ich mit ihr über genau dieses Thema, nämlich ihr Affiliate Programming. Das heißt, bleibt unbedingt dran und holt euch ein paar Inputs und Expertentipps von Michele selbst. Und jetzt viel Spaß mit dieser Folge mit Michele Letendre. Willkommen zu Die geilste Stunde des Tages. Dein Lieblingspodcast rund ums Thema CrossFit in Deutschland. Ich bin Felix, CrossFit Level 3 Trainer, Affiliate Owner von CrossFit Aschaffenburg und leidenschaftlicher CrossFit-Athlet. In diesem Format teile ich meine Erfahrungen aus über 10 Jahren CrossFit-Training und Coaching. Neben spannenden Solo-Folgen erwarten dich auch Interviews mit Top-Athleten und Trainern aus der ganzen Welt. Also bleibt dran und viel Spaß bei dieser Folge. Welcome back to the show. Michele, good to have you here.
It's good to be here, Felix. Thank you for having me.
I mean, it's the second time. Last time was in Stockholm. I think it's almost 1 year ago, right?
2 years ago, I think.
No, really? No, it was.
I don't know.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, you're right. It was last year.
Don't make me older than I am.
Yeah, things have changed. So it feels longer, like lots of changes happen in my life. So
yeah, when we talked last time, your position was a different one, right?
Yes. I had DECA and I was working kind of on my own. And since we spoke, I've moved into the HWPO training team. So big change. Still doing the same work, but more specific.
What was the reason for the change?
There were lots of reasons. Personally, I wanted to be surrounded. I felt very isolated and alone running DECA on my own. And there were some parts of the job that I didn't really appreciate anymore. And I wanted to focus more on, the programming side. And as a business owner, that's not normally where you would, create value, right? I think many affiliate owners know this, that you have to put your time where you generate the most value. And realizing that my preference was to be in the programming side, to stay close to my coaching ties, I just felt like I wasn't doing DECA a service. And so I needed to make a change so that I can continue to do what I love to do and do it with people that I really enjoy working with. So it was to me a no-brainer. HWPO training did not have affiliate programming, and that is where my passion lied. And I know Matt Fraser. We used to train together. I know Matt O'Keefe. He used to be my agent. So it just felt like a natural fit.
So did they approach you or the other way around?
The other way around. I approached them with the idea. It took a little while for that idea to kind of develop into a possibility. But I pick up the phone, and actually they were having a opening party for their HQ in Burlington, Vermont. And I live in Montreal, Canada, which is a 2-hour drive from Burlington, Vermont. So they invited me to their grand opening. And, timing, like life, just everything kind of worked so that when I drove down with the intention of asking them what their thoughts were, if they were planning on doing affiliate programming, if they had considered, who would do that, and if they were open to the idea of me doing it, because I felt like I had brought DECA to where I was able to bring it. And after that initial conversation, it took a few months. But then, I think like 6 to 8 months, something like that later, they called me back and they said, okay, we're ready, So that's how it happened.
Sometimes life happens, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of planted a seed. But this is a lesson that I've learned. Like it was, in your life, you try to learn lessons when, you try to be open to life talking to you and things like that. And this is one of those lessons where, if you don't ask, you will never know what can happen. So sometimes you have to instigate change, even if it's really scary. And this is why I got this tattoo, because
what does
it's like,
say? It's very small written on
yeah,
there. No,
it says it's not a bad idea. So, when I was thinking about the change that I needed personally in my life, I thought about, how I could do things, and the idea of asking HWPO training, it was like, oh man, it's full of doubt. Like, what if they say no and they start affiliate programming, and then I'm kind of like screwed, or like what happens if they say no, and then like I have to run DECA and like all these things. And then this one idea just kept popping up, and it just kept coming in my head. It's like, I can't do anything other than ask. So that's what the tattoo said. So in life, when you want to have change, you have to go out and you have to ask. And if it doesn't work out the way you want it to, then you pivot and you adapt. But that was a big life lesson.
And usually asking is free, right? So
yeah, 100%. I mean, there are some risks involved, but they're such great people. So, I mean, like the risk to me felt really low, but there's some risk. There is cost. But you'll never know what things can can happen unless you kind of ask, or be curious at least.
Okay, lesson number 1, just ask.
Yes.
So you have a lot of experience in training individuals, but also you had some experience in affiliate programming before you joined your new company. What would you say is like the biggest difference in programming for an individual versus like a group class setting?
Well, I mean, I've had extensive experience in both of these things. Like, to me, these are two things: individual athlete and coaching, and group classes, coaching, programming. Both of these things work really parallel in my life. I've been coached by coaches my whole life, done sport. I've coached athletes when I retired from CrossFit in 2016. But even when I was competing, I was coaching athletes one-on-one. And then on the flip side, when I started CrossFit, I worked for CrossFit. Like, I did the level 1 seminars. I was involved with group classes since I started CrossFit. Like, they both happened at the same time. So to me, these two worlds are just, they're intertwined. The biggest difference is going to be like, obviously you're one-to-many, one-to-one, like there are different goals, there are different implications. Like, when you coach an athlete that has very specific goals, there's a little bit more pressure on the outcome, the results, the solutions you try to find for those goals. And when you think about group programming and group coaching, I think there's a much more, especially now, I'm 39 years old. I've been coaching for a long time. There's much more emphasis on creating a feeling of community, creating a desire for relationships and contacts. So it's very, very, very different. Not to say that coaching an individual athlete, you don't want to nurture that relationship, because it's a really important part of working with an athlete. But I'd say that in a class setting, the main goal is so that people fall in love with training. So there's more emphasis on results are going to come, but they're going to come because people find it fun and they want to come to the gym, and they want to be coached by someone who has a lot of enthusiasm, by someone who cares, by someone who's organized, So I find, even though we always hear about CrossFit brings results, to me, it's not the priority of group programming. Results aren't my priority. My priority is to develop training that is both practical and useful for life, but mainly fun and engaging, and fun and engaging. So that's a fundamental difference. Both of them, they want results, but the priorities and how I'm going to go about it is going to be different. And some would argue that individual programming for athletes is easier because there's less need for variety, creativity. It's like, linear progressions, specific movement combinations, specific energy systems, this and that. But I think that's also why I really love affiliate programming, is that it requires more creativity. It requires you to think of ways that will challenge a member that doesn't have specific movement goals, but that wants to stay in the gym for 15 years. So you have to be creative with that.
So what I find very, very difficult is to maintain a right balance between intensity and volume and skill development, especially for a broad audience. I mean, it's easier for an individual person, right? Because you know the person, you know their specific goals. But for a lot of people with different backgrounds, with probably different training volume, one of them is coming to the gym 5 times a week, the other one only once a week. So how do you make sure that you meet the needs for this broad audience?
Well, the trick is in trusting coaches who are applying this program, right? I can't coach for the coaches, and I think coaches have a responsibility to know, to make those adjustments when needed. And where I come into play in this is that within a specific workout, my mission and my main job is to write coaches' notes that will give coaches the proper tools to make those decisions. So you're right. There's so many different people in a specific gym. There are people that love CrossFit as a sport. There are people who love to exercise as a sport, and their physical activity and their sport is CrossFit. It's going to the gym. Even if they're not competitive, their sport is their gym that they go to 5 times a week. And there are people that use the gym to do other sports, that come to the gym twice a week because they're well, I have to cross train. I'm doing triathlon. So I like CrossFit because it's community based. It's someone tells me what to do and I don't have to think, whatever. And then you have some people that are using it to get back into shape. There's so many goals. And I think generally speaking, on top of that, it depends how old your gym is. Younger gyms tend to have more intense members, and gyms that have been around for 15 plus years tend to have members that are a little bit more fitness based, people who are using CrossFit for their fitness regimen and not just doing CrossFit. So the notes in my class plan, we have 5 programs at HWPO training, the main program being the class program, will help coaches kind of manage how to go about a workout. Is the goal getting the volume in? And that way you'll see in the scaling options that I'm not modifying the volume, but I'm significantly lowering the load. So that tells you as a coach, the volume is a priority in this session. And so when we look at training as a whole year process, there are going to be times where, the focus is on one thing, focus on another thing. This is why we have training cycles that helps give context to training. And so, someone who doesn't really care too much about training cycles will still get fitter because they're touching base on elements of what we do. But these cycles will also give context and ammunition for coaches to kind of make the right adjustments based on their members. Then this is where I can't stress enough. Your members best, right? Coaches know their members best. So even if we're, let's say, in a in a conditioning phase and you have a member, but that's just dying to gain strength. And my coach's notes say, this is a conditioning based workout. This should be fast. This should be this should be that, blah, blah, blah. And you're looking at, I don't know, Tracy, who wants to work on her strength. And she's like, man, like, I really need to work on strength. And so then you create a really strong link with that client. If you say, well, you know what, why don't we make this workout a little heavier for you? We'll reduce the reps by a lot so that we can hit the same time zone. And we could do it like that. And this is this is the art of coaching. This is where coaches are going to be foregoing what I write for the sake of the members, progress and trust and buy-in. But practically speaking, we have phases of training that will hit the mark on most people's desires and goals when it comes to training. And I provide enough outlook to coaches and affiliate owners ahead of time so that they know what time of year those things will happen. So we've already sent out all the training phases for 2025. Each of these training phases have a very specific goal. Articles about these training phases are sent out to the coaches, again, to give coaches ammunition and context so that they can share to their members, this is what we're doing now. And then all of a sudden the members are like, oh, okay, we're doing this and it's going to last this amount of time. And they have very specific expectations and they're going to be met with that. So I find this is a way to manage like members who have different goals. One day in the year, one time in the year, you will have things that will hit the goals that you want. But we do CrossFit, so we don't do strength bias 12 months a year. Like, we do different things. We do variety. And our goal is to have members that are fit in all the 10 general physical skills. And they do that in micro doses throughout the year.
So when you look at an affiliate programming as a whole, what do you think? What is the most important part? Is there anything that stands out, which is like the thing that you can never miss? And is there something that like holds everything together?
That's a really good question. I don't think there's one thing. I think one of the key things that is super important for me is fun. So I have 3 pillars that are like my guiding lights in my affiliate programming. And the number 1 thing is fun. The number 2 thing is balance. And this is balance for both coaches and members. We can't forget the coaches, because affiliate programming, like, yes, I'm writing programming for affiliate members, but really I'm writing programming for coaches, because they're the ones that's consuming this and they're delivering it. So they are, when I write a program, when I write a class, when I write a day's work, my goal is, how can I get this coach to give this coach properly? And then the last one is variety. Like, these are the 3 things that are really important: fun, balance, and variety. And so because variety is, like, we think of variety as contrast and like opposing of structured and linear approach, like a program that gets you results has a specific goal. But variety is why we love CrossFit. I think that's one of the reasons why I really still enjoy doing CrossFit. I still enjoy coaching CrossFit, is because it's varied and it gets you intellectually that way. But we still need structure, because, doing things completely varied don't really, like, one, for coaches, I find it to be kind of, it doesn't respect their authority and their profession as a coach. Like, you want to have goals and you want to go somewhere. And 2, I feel like it does a disservice to members, because at one point, members who actually come into the gym and stay are curious about what they're doing. And they want to know why, something's getting better and others aren't. And they're going to ask questions. That's one of the cool things about what we do and what we offer in affiliates, is that all of a sudden people who have been passively going through training regimens are now very involved, become very curious about what they're doing, learning new activities, new sports, new techniques. People get engaged, and you have to be able to give them something to these guys, like, these members become hungry and curious. So the variance thing is very important, but it has to be variance within a specific structure. So those are the 3 things that I consider to be really, really important. But the fun is, I think, number 1. Like, I've been doing CrossFit or CrossFit style training for, 15, 16 years. And I write workouts and I'm like, would I like this workout? Would I still want to do this workout? And there's a lot of times where the answer is no, because I've learned, I know who I am and I know what I like. but I'm always asking myself, like, if I were walking into a gym today, would this workout interest me? Or would I find it boring or whatever? And that kind of drives my creative passion and stuff like that. And I also say to myself, if Patrick walked into the gym with this workout, would he enjoy the workout? And then I say, if my mom would walk into the gym, would she enjoy this workout? So I think that's my three things. So it's not one thing, but it's three things.
So the thing is with affiliates, especially when you have affiliates which are, you said it, with affiliates who are older, usually you have like a very, very broad spectrum of people. You have the people who are there for like 10 plus years, and you have people who just joined the gym and everything in between. So one of the things that comes into play very often is scaling and modification. And what role does it play in your programming? So how do you ensure that all the fitness levels are catered to?
Yeah. So when I write a program, the goal is to find, like, we have a focus. We have like macro, what's the cycle, what's the goal? And then like we'll go into the macro, and then we'll go into the micro things, like how do these days support this goal? And within a specific workout, there'll be, what we're looking at is volume, intensity, and like time, right? And so the scaling options will often be what I write, and this is just the words that I've chosen, but some people have changed the words. They call it levels, and I've always called it beginner, intermediate, RX, and then there's RX plus. And the beginner scaling options to me is I write it for the person that's new in the gym, for the person that is newer to CrossFit style training, and potentially for larger bodied athletes and for older members. So it's a simplified version. And most of the time, the scaling options will focus more on strength. So let's say we're in a conditioning phase, and the workout has pull-ups and rowing and deadlifts. So because beginner athletes need to learn a little bit more how to control their movement patterns, their techniques, and the goal is to try and get them strong and have the basic ability to move their body weights and stuff like that, I'll opt for usually strength-based. I basically, my decisions are strength-based. How can this beginner accumulate volume, repetitions, and control? So you'll see pull-ups. I'll try and change it up a little bit. I don't like having the same scales all the time. But pull-ups will be seated ring pull-ups. Like instead of ring rows, I'll try to go vertically with like a seated ring pull-up so they assist themselves with their legs. And then I'll do banded strict pull-ups, or I'll do banded strict pull downs. Like those are going to be choices you'll see a lot in our programming. So anything that's beginner, usually it's like, okay, if I had someone that had no strength for pull-ups, how would I do this workout? Intermediate is a little bit trickier, and I think this is one of our strengths. So intermediate athletes, I think there are two kind of avatars, if you want to call it that. And the intermediate level athlete is like someone who's been around, who has the experience in your gym that's been like there for maybe 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, whatever. And that has accumulated a good amount of practice, but that don't necessarily want to go and get specific skills. So, and scaling is always more complicated with gymnastics. So I'm going to use gymnastics a lot as my examples, but like a ring muscle up, for example, you'll have some intermediate athletes that are very content with not having ring muscle ups, but they can do pull-ups, for example. So, ring muscle ups, I'm not going to switch it to a ring muscle up progression for intermediate athletes that don't care to learn ring muscle ups. So probably you'll see in those cases 2 level of intermediate athletes. Level 1 is the ones who just want to do fitness, sweat, volume, high intensity, move on with their lives. And then you'll have an intermediate level 2 show up a little bit. And those are the athletes that are intrigued about those skills, that want to progress in strength and skill and ability. And so those athletes will scale differently. We'll go for like a seated, strict, band-assisted ring muscle up, for example. And so those are how I kind of adjust the workouts on a day-to-day basis. There's no specific style aside from when I have a higher skill workout, the intermediate level will be split into two, and level 1 is volume training. Level 2 is skill development. And then after that, sometimes, this is new to this year, I'll put in a fitness variant. I call it a variant because, again, we work with a lot of gyms. Some gyms have been around for years, and they've developed a clientele that really just don't care for skills at all. They love the community aspect of it. They love the training, but they don't care for putting barbells over their heads. They don't want to go particularly heavy. And so the fitness variant is going to be a more metabolic based version of a said workout. So if I have snatches, for example, in a strength piece, you'll see beginner, work at a technical load, focus on this. Intermediate, as written, or here's how you scale it. And then fitness variant will be like dumbbell snatches and burpee over dumbbell. And this is very popular in some American gyms. Like I said, gyms that have been around for a little bit longer. You can erase that if you want. Some gyms are like, nope, I don't need this. Everyone's doing the same thing. But some gyms have found that there are a lot of members that would rather do very basic level strength work and move longer than try and get into the skill stuff. That's new.
So how important are coaches' notes then when we have like those kind of different scaling options? I assume that there is a lot of things that you need to talk about in order for the coaches to understand what your intention is. Yeah,
I don't know what other affiliate programs look like, but I have sense. Yeah, I have a sense that I write a lot of notes.
And you do a video every day, and that's very nice.
So we have a video brief for every day except Sunday. And we have coaches' notes that my goal with those notes is to try to educate coaches on things that they don't need a level 1 for. So I don't want people to go consistently try and get educated externally. I believe in practical education. And those notes are designed to help newer coaches understand what to look for, what the effects of a workout may be, and what, I like to call it a focus of the day. Like, what is the focus of the day? What's that one cue that we're focusing on that everything else supports? And so the coaches' notes are really important. And I like to believe that, a lot of people are probably not reading those coaches' notes, but the ones who are, in my opinion, are probably getting better a little bit faster. So that's my goal with those. There's a lot of notes. And yes, you have to read those notes to understand why some scaling options are the way they are.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what sometimes coaches really miss. They're very stuck in their own kind of scaling. So whenever they see pull-ups, they say, yeah, you can do pull-ups, you do ring rows instead, and you'll be just fine. And that's probably when the members are getting bored because they don't want to do ring rows, but they can't really do pull-ups, and there's nothing in between, right? And so it's usually...
And then you have gyms that refuse the bands, and you have gyms that, there are different cultural expectations in gyms. But even like when you take ring rows, for example, and ring rows are an excellent exercise. In fact, like I don't do pull-ups anymore. I pretty much do only ring rows. And what's really important is that in doing so, I have come to realize, but I tried to write notes like, well, when you're doing ring rows today, instead of using it in a neutral grip, like get him pulling in a pronated grip and get him pulling wider, because that way we'll kind of switch it up a little bit. So those are things that you'll read in the notes. Like, it's not always the case, but when there are some specific things that we can make like exciting, right? Like day-to-day training can be really tough on coaches. It can be repetitive. But where I think I try at least to help coaches is giving, even though there are ring rows regularly, is giving them a little bit of information on how they can make them slightly different or how they can use them in different ways. Like I've written strength portions in a class that the RX is ring rows. And I'm not afraid to do that. Like it's not always pull-ups. Like we need to be able to pull our body weight horizontally as well. And so everyone should be doing ring rows. So yeah, we try to switch things up and make things a little bit varied. And the notes, in my opinion, are where the value is. Like you have a lot of value in those coaches' notes. And in addition to that, like our members at HWPO Training have Circle, which is an external platform. It's kind of like a Facebook for our professional group. HWPO Training has different spaces in this Circle app. It really looks like
Facebook. It's so funny.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's one space called HWPO Affiliate. And like in that space, you have direct access to me and hundreds of gyms worldwide. So if you're struggling with like, hey man, I'm doing ring rows and I'm finding it really repetitive, what can I do? Like, we're going to be there and answer those questions. So there's a lot of value, not just in the coach's notes, but like this whole, when I left DECA and I started doing HWPO affiliate, my mission is to give a training experience, like to give a affiliate programming that is really a resource for practical application of workouts. I don't want to teach people how to run their businesses. I mean, like, it's not excluded at this moment. I'm limited, but like, I wanted to have a platform where a gym owner would be comfortable with telling their newer coaches to say, go on this app and ask Michele questions, check out the resources, read the articles, understand why we do things, read these notes. And then there's like professional development on a daily basis.
So you just mentioned your platform. What are some of the biggest challenges you see when affiliates owners are facing or the problems they are facing with programming? So one of them is probably, like you just said, a platform where you have the resources where they can go to. But what other things can affiliate owners do?
Well, like, honestly, I think everyone is in agreement that in 2025, we are overloaded with apps and AIs and like
that's
platforms.
Probably the problem, that there's too much information out there and you don't know who to trust, right?
There is a lot of information. I like to think that what affiliate owners need to realize is that no matter how they do their programming, it is really a discipline in and of itself. Like, affiliate programming is a full-time job. It is my full-time job. I do this 7 to 5. Like, I work long hours and my whole job is to write programming notes, articles about the programming, all of these things. And so we need to treat the programming as something that you have to understand and like have a good understanding of. It's like when you start CrossFit. You want to get into it and just get rolling, but you have to do the fundamental stuff. So when you dive into a new affiliate programming, whether it's HWPO training or another one, you have to have a good sit down and try and understand the lay of the land and how we do things. And this is why I make myself available for anyone who's looking to make the switch. And I'll walk people through our different various platforms. And I find that to be a very effective way of understanding what resources are available. But if you kind of try to do it on your own, and just expect that when you subscribe, it'll just happen like that. I think that if it does, I do believe that the programming is probably not of high quality. If you have high quality program, it comes with a lot of details and explanations and context and stuff like that. So I would strongly recommend anyone who's looking to change programming for their affiliate to reach out to the training platform, training director or lead, and try and get a call with that person so that you can hear it from them how you work around things. So anyone who wants to have a call with me, they can email me.
I have the number. I can send it.
You can email me and we can take some time and I can walk through what our different programs are. I can walk through how to use Circle and how to use the app and why it's important. We can go through like the different tabs and all that stuff. But I think that is a little bit of time at the beginning that you have to invest and kind of understand, but it gets you access to a much more resources than just workouts written in your system.
What do you think are some of the common mistakes when you follow specific programming? It doesn't really matter what kind of programming. It can be main site, it can be your programming. I mean, we've had different programmings over the years, and I mean, usually it's when you follow a specific programming, you always have members who like it, you have members who don't like it. But what do you think is like the biggest issue for an affiliate owner to stay on track with one programming?
Yeah, I think from experience, when you change affiliate program, usually it's a big decision that you'll commit to for a long time. Like, it's not like individual athletes that try like a month and they're like, no, I don't like this. It usually doesn't work like that. So there's the free trial that works out well. I still feel like you need to commit a little bit more. However, I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see And this is generally speaking, I think this is a mistake, not just in programming, but I do think, and I've seen it, that affiliate owners make decisions for their affiliate without necessarily communicating and discussing it with either their staff or their clients. Some people feel that they don't need to advise their clients about a change like that. And I agree to a certain extent. Like, you don't need to ask your members if you want to change programming. And you know, there's always going to be people who complain about the programming, and we can't do anything about that. Like, that's the reality of group training. It is what it is, you know. But when it comes to the coaches that are actually giving the classes, I think it's a very important conversation to have with these coaches, and that they're involved in the decision-making process, or at least communicated about the change and what are the motivating factors of the change. And like an example is, I just had a call with a potential client that has asked me to kind of record a video to explain the affiliate programming so that she can share it to her coaches, and that the coaches can hear it from me, how a class could be executed with our programming. And I think that's a really important step to, you know, sharing that with your coaches. It's also really important to communicate the values and the culture of the programming change, you know? So I think the coaches are a really important part of that decision. And if you have coaches that are less invested in their careers, they're not going to give the programming the same. So I think it's a very important, you know, thing. It's not something that I see very often, to be fair. Like, I think most gym owners that I've had the opportunity to talk with have done a really good job at communicating this change. I know that some owners actually do the trial, and they'll do the workouts for 2 weeks before they decide to give it to their members, which is, I think, really great. Like, it's patient. It's a very important way.
That's what we did, by the way. So I tested the
great.
workouts, and I checked the timing, and I looked at the schedule and the timeline, and I was thinking, okay, does this make any sense? What did she think about the program here? And why is the workout so hard? And where's the fucking scaling option?
Oh, there you go. I think so. Yeah, I think that's great. Like, but I think the biggest mistake really, like, is just the expectation that the programming is going to be plug and play. And I don't believe that that's possible, because we write programming and we hope to hit the mark on all equipment needs, you know, people needs and things like that. But if you're not making adjustments in the programming, you'll probably find yourself with a lot of clunky classes. So it's important to look at the programming and consume it like you would, you know, your own programming.
What do you think, which kind of gym should switch to HWPO? Is every CrossFit gym like a good fit for HWPO training?
That's a really good question. I'm going to be fully honest with you. The answer is no. Like, we have very hard workouts. We have workouts that will challenge the best athletes. I do believe that it's just like CrossFit. CrossFit is for everybody, but not everyone likes CrossFit. So I think that HWPO affiliate will cater to the people who really love to get a challenge and who really want to dive into training and just get involved with details and get involved with progressions and like who really love to coach athletically. That said, that doesn't mean that we don't think about the people who want to just, you know, move. Like, we have sweat program, because I am a consumer of sweat program. Like, I want to go to a gym for 60 minutes and move a lot, because some days I just can't be bothered with snatching. So we do have programs that are for those people. So, and then on top of that, we have a focus program that is a little bit more athletically inclined. Like, we have this focus program is very unique to us. It's 8 weeks. It changes every 8 weeks. It has a different focus every 8 weeks. So someone who's really intrigued about training and wants to explore different ways of training, it's a really great program. And I think that hits the mark on people who love to nerd out about working out. And then we have accessory for people who just love to do bodybuilding style stuff that's more low impact. Yeah, it's just really smooth. It's a workout. It's program that I kind of invented / created for myself, because I wish I had a gym that I can go to that gave classes for bodybuilding, because I don't want to do it alone at the gym. And then we have the EMOM 40 class that hits the mark for people who want to do longer engine-based workouts. So yes, our HWPO affiliate training is really designed to cater to everyone's goals. But if you're a gym that's just starting out and all of your members are new, we may be a little bit too far out of reach. I have found that type of gym works really well with CAP. CAP has a great baseline. They have really good, it's a coach's program. Like they have a lot of good teaching progressions and all that stuff. But I do believe that people who switch over to HWPO can be served by us for a very long time because we have a lot of variety.
So when we switched the programming, we did the ComTrain before last year, and I wasn't really happy with the programming. And so at the end of the year, I talked to my coaches and I let them know, okay, these are the options. We have the NC-Fit programming, which one of my friends does in his box, and he really likes it. So I said, okay, we can do the Jason Kalipa thing here. We have HWPO, which is the new kid on the block. We should probably check it out, and we can go back to whatever, CAP or something like that. And we discussed it, and we decided to go with the HWPO programming. And we didn't really communicate it with the members because in my experience, so like only 10 or 20% of the people are really interested in what kind of programming they get, right? They want to have fun, they want to sweat, they want to move some weights, and they don't really care if it's called ComTrain or HWPO or whatsoever. And I didn't really want to confuse them at the time. But what I found after like 2 or 4 weeks, a lot of people approached me and they said, you changed something with the programming, right? It's so hard. It's so hard. I'm sore all the time and I cannot really move. And I said, yeah, we changed it. It's really hard. Yeah, I feel the same. So yeah, that's what you just described, right? We're affiliate for like 10 years and we have a lot of experienced members. And the experienced ones and the new ones, they all say, "Oh, it's really hard. It's really hard, but it's very, very cool." And yeah.
I know we're hard, and it's one of the biggest feedbacks that I get. Like, it's hard stuff, but I feel there's something that I love about being challenged. Sometimes you could so surprise yourself in so many ways. Like, and yeah, I know it's hard. I do my own programming as well. I do
me
it
too.
like,
so it's like actually the first time in like 5 or 6 years where I only follow our affiliate programming. Right before I did my own stuff, and yeah, it didn't really turn out well. I wasn't really fit. I was injured all the time, and now I'm following the affiliate programming for it's like 3 months now, and I got really fit. I have to tell you. The workouts are really hard. So I try to go with our X version of the workout, and the time caps, they're really very tight, really, really tight. So usually when it's like a 12-minute time cap and I use RX and I have like 10, 30 something, and I'm like, I would say I'm fit. And I always think about, okay, what are the other people doing in the workouts, right? So
yeah, we like to challenge people, hard work, and I think that's another thing that, like every programming, like you did it with our program, like every gym owner, every gym that changes program, there's going to be an adaptation phase. And eventually, one of the biggest pieces of feedbacks that I get, I've been getting it a little bit less lately. I think I've calmed myself down a little bit, but that people are scaling a lot and it's like demoralizing. And I think I hope that one day we kind of stop talking about RX, but really talk about stimulus. And so when I coach my classes, I very rarely talk about the RX loads or the RX movements. When I coach my classes, I'm about today's workout is a push-pull combination movement pattern. Today's workout is, XYZ. Today's workout. This is why there's so many notes in the classes, because it's like the more understanding you have of why we're doing specific things, the easier it is for people to understand that the loads are irrelevant. Like it's completely irrelevant what loads people are pushing. The only relevance it has is targets. And this is why I don't write programming that doesn't have weights, because for a long time, one of the biggest debates that I had internally was, do I even need to write weights? But then knowing that would cause a lot of confusion. Obviously, it's not something that we can do, but I've worked at a gym that never had weights written on the board, and we knew what the weights were. The coaches knew what the workout and the weights were, but we didn't have it written on the board. But one of the things that I realized when you do that is people kind of stick into their comfort zone and there's no progress. And so as much as I agree with today, what CrossFit gyms look like is more about fitness. It's about having fun, and it's not necessarily performance oriented. It's just getting people in the gym and keeping them there. I still feel like progress is a major driving force in that sweet spot age of like, been doing CrossFit for like 3 years. Like, people need to see progress. Eventually people will move beyond that. Like I have, like, I don't care about my progress in the gym anymore. I care about my health and wellness. And I know that I'm going to need to go to the gym. But there's this sweet spot where people really get involved in their progress. So having weights is like just steering the crew in a specific direction and giving people something to strive for. And the reality is that sometimes they'll get demoralized. Sometimes they'll be like, well, fuck, I'm not, like, I keep trying and I'm not. But that's because I keep pushing the needle in a direction. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get there one day. It's like, well, today I can, tomorrow I maybe can't, but that's what it looks like to actually do better. And this is something I learned as an athlete. It's something Matt's seen. Like, you strive for progress, but the needle always pushes forward. It always moves. So yeah, coaches have to be good at saying, like, it's okay, you'll get there.
Yeah, that's what. So in the beginning, we just wrote down the RX and scale version on the whiteboard, but now you have different options. So we write them down and we let the people know today we were going to do like whatever, deadlifts and pull-ups. And I give them a realistic number, which I think they should hit. For example, when there's 10 deadlifts with 185, or you do kilograms, right? 85 kilograms whatsoever, which is like a moderate weight. It's not heavy, right? So like a fit male should be able to go unbroken with 10 deadlifts, right? I'll let them know you should be able to do 10 deadlifts without touching or without getting off the bar, right? So just do your 10 deadlifts, and I'll explain it in that way. And we write the weights down, but when we write down the scores at the end of the class, we don't really write the weights, right? We just write the times or the reps, but we got rid of the weights because the people, they like to compare. But in the end, it doesn't really matter, right? They just finished in time. They know what their weights, which they use. They have sugar watt. They can log their weights. But we use the whiteboard for the time, for the community at the end of the class. So that's like our thing, our combination. We have the weights written on the board, but when we write down the scores, we don't really write the weights.
Yeah. I find it fascinating, the leaderboard thing. I find it very fascinating. I find it because I've never been motivated by that. Like the motivation that I always had in training was the training. Like, I've always loved the process and the this and the that. So to me, the leaderboard has never been a part of that. Like, it's just, I don't find it very important for me personally. I understand why it's important for us. Like, it's one of the things that CrossFit's done so differently is that it actually has made training like competitive, and you get better results when people are competitive. So I have found that with time, I used to tell members, like, why do you care so much? You shouldn't care. But like, people who care about their results and that will do the comparison and things like that, it just shows you that they're invested and involved, and that's good for your community. I mean, like everything, there's going to be some people that take it to the unhealthy levels. And I don't think there's very much we can do to avoid that. We can manage it, but it's going to happen. But yeah, the scaling and like the modification and all of that is something that's very cultural, and every gym does it differently. Like I said, like, I've seen gyms that ask members after the workout what their score was, and they still write it on the board just like before. I saw that like last year in France when I was out there, and I was like, oh my God, this is taking me back to like 10 years ago.
We
like,
still do it.
Yeah, really. I'm like, I don't know how many rounds I did. I wasn't counting. So I got caught off guard, but those are little things that you forget when you age in the CrossFit space. Like, but yeah, it's fun. It's gamification, it's fun.
I have to tell you, so since we switched the programming before, my coaches, they didn't really like follow the class programming. They did their own thing. And some of my coaches who are also my friends, we are on the same fitness level, right? So we used to do different kinds of programming and we could never compare, but we used to train together like back in the day. And now we are doing the same programming again. And now we have like workouts where we can like really push each other. So when some of them is logging a workout with like, we did the deadlift and the power clean stuff like 2 days ago. And one of my coaches logged like 12 minutes 42 and I did like 12:38 and I was like super happy that I beat him by 4 seconds, right? And it's like every week. So we discuss every week. This week I beat you in 2 workouts. Last week you beat me in 3 workouts. And I really got a lot fitter because now I have something to train for, right? I have like the score and I need that for myself. And it's pushing me very, very hard.
Yeah, well, I love hearing that because all of a sudden you're doing something that is so practical, right? Working out, taking care of your body, and it's becoming something really enjoyable, which we've all felt when we started CrossFit. But after 10 plus years, sometimes you get a little bit like disenchanted. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's back and it's like, it makes me so happy to hear that because it's just like, I don't know. I think it's great. I love hearing that. Yesterday, so as we were recording this, yesterday was the second open announcement. And I was watching the open announcement and they were presenting the affiliate that the open announcement was hosted at. And there was a group of 3 guys in the gym that said that they had this little group of competition and they made themselves leader jerseys. And so when one of them wins the workout, the next day they wear the leader jersey. And I thought that was it, like, what a fun way to make affiliate programming like so much bigger than what it is, you know? So I thought that was such a good idea. Maybe something I'll encourage the gyms around here to do.
Yeah, I like the idea. Jersey. I'm going to print some shirts now.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, we have the same shirt size, so it shouldn't be a problem. I'll print the leader's jersey.
Just make sure you wash them well before you switch.
No, that's the thing. You never wash it.
That shirt will become not white very fast.
We take a black one, then we probably don't have a problem. So Michele, I think a lot of affiliates, especially in the European region, I mean, you're an American company and you do your programming mainly in the North American sphere. So I don't know about the numbers, but last time we talked, there haven't been so many HWPO affiliate gyms in Germany or in the German-speaking countries, but we want to change that, right? So we prepared something for the listeners and for all the German-speaking gyms. So we're going to have like a little collaboration, right? And when you sign up for the programming, you get, I think it's 1 month free or 1 month like free trial, something like that.
Yes. So we are on various platforms. You'll get a 1 month free, basically. So whether that's in the form of a free trial or a discount, you'll get 1 month on us so that you can really give us a shot and explore what it looks like for longer than a week, longer than 2 weeks, because traditionally our free trial is 2 weeks. And so we're going to give you guys 1 month of trial of the programming. And in that 1 month, you'll have access to me, the same way a member would. So it's like a full on membership for a month, and you'll get to feel it out and see how much of a challenge it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we put the details in the show notes, so you can just click on a link and then you're automatically, magically brought where you want to go. If you use Sugarwood, you can go there, and if you use another platform, you can just go there and check it out. So we'll figure that out and we put it in the show notes then.
Yes. I'm super excited for this partnership. I think I do speak a little bit of German, but obviously I wasn't able to make this conversation happen for
you should have
German.
let me know. Then next time we record in German, then it's okay.
I know how to order a glass of red wine and to tell you my name, and that's kind of it.
That's very important, I think.
I agree. The basics, the survival basics. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I'm, we're all over the world, and I think having more affiliates internationally for me is really exciting because yes, my company is American, but I am not. So I love that we explore outside,
That's pretty cool. Yeah, really looking forward to it too, because I mean, we are very happy with the programming, and I really like doing it myself, and I see the results and the fun that people have in my affiliates. So yeah, it's probably the best idea to think about your own programming. And if you're at the same point as I was last year, where I wasn't really convinced and not so happy with my programming, then maybe that's a good time to switch.
For sure. I'm here to help if anyone have questions. And I'll, provide the details for that.
Michele, then it was very nice talking to you. Thank you that you took the time. I'm really looking forward for our next conversation, and I hope you have a great day.
Felix, thank you so much for having me.
See you next time. Bye-bye.